Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grip Lock, Foundation Disc Golf's weekly podcast. I'm Hunter, joined, as always, by Trevor. And like we have been recently, we're going to be starting this show off with another 5-star review. This one comes from, hopefully I pronounce your name right, Joyce? Joyce? Joysel? It's Joisle.
Down and you didn't even think about this?
Well, like it's a username.
Let me see.
Joisle.
Beats me.
We're going to say Joyce. The L-E's silent. Joyce said, I love to hear the healthy debates on how to make the sport better. Listening to other opinions is how ideas come about. If the sport isn't growing, then it's dying. So that review comes from Apple Podcasts. If you're... Can
we make a shirt that just says grow or die?
You grow or die? I like it. If you're listening over on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a review. And if you do so, there's a chance you'll be read live on air here. It doesn't have to be 5-star. You know, maybe you think we suck, you can leave us a 1-star. That's fine too. But today we have a lot of different things to cover. We're going to start it off with, last week we talked about the live versus post like viewership numbers, right?
I got people going.
And we asked you to leave comments down below what you thought, why you chose one over the other. We just wanted to get some opinions, understand the market a little bit more. And boy, did you. We had plenty, had to be the most commented on podcast ever on our channel. But it was great. It gave us a lot of different opinions, but it also gave us a lot of the same opinions, which is what I wanted to focus on, because there's a few points that we saw across who knows how many accounts. So I kind of pulled those main key ones out, and I'm going to just kind of go through them. So one of the big ones was the time difference between post and live. Being post, you can watch a full round in about 45 minutes to an hour, and live takes 3 to 4 hours. Another one that kind of played into that was the convenience factor. So A, the time plays into that, and B, the ability to turn on the round just whenever you want at night and stuff like that. This is probably the most common one that was brought up, which kind of surprised me, to be honest with you,
right? Which
was the commentary difference.
Yeah.
The difference between the Jomez, you know, whether it's Big Sexy or Big Barry or Big Sexy Barry. Whether it's one of those versus whoever's doing the live coverage commentary. Another one that was brought up a lot that also surprised me, because I didn't really, not that I didn't think of this, I just didn't think it'd be as big of a factor, is people were saying that they play disc golf on the weekends, so they couldn't watch live because they're out playing on the course themselves. Another one that always has to be considered, but this is true for every sport, is the European audience. Obviously, this is the global audience, but specifically in disc golf, the biggest area is Europe, Finland, area like that. And so the European audience watching disc golf, the time difference. And then we had, this was a really good point, I thought. We had Jomez first, so that's how we got used to consuming disc golf.
Valid.
So I thought all these points were pretty valid. Some of them took me by surprise. I think one of the bigger ones that I was surprised so many people said was, I'm playing disc golf on the weekends, so I can't watch.
Yeah, this one doesn't make any sense to me, because live disc golf coverage, the leaders tee off. Now, I get everybody's schedule is different, and I'm going to say this, and then somebody's going to be like, well, I literally have something to do every weekend. I've got my kids' soccer game from 2 to 5 every single Saturday. And, like, I understand, but you got to, whenever you're dealing with, like, a sports business like this, you have to cater to the majority. Like, you can't, everybody's schedule, it's not about, like, I saw a really good tweet about this, like, you can't be selfish when it comes to improving the sport. You have to look at it in the frame of everybody and what meets the most people's needs, not just your individual needs, because that's just never going to work. Because, like, my whole thing was, everybody was like, well, we play disc golf on the weekends, you know? We work during the week, and this is when we get to play disc golf. Well, if the leaders of the disc golf tournament and live coverage are teeing off, like, in the afternoon, play disc golf in the morning.
Yeah.
Well, like, it's a very simple solution to
some
that.
of these, I think there's some of these it's like, well, okay, I understand that, but if you wanted to watch live, you could.
Because PGA golf tournaments, those are also on the weekends, and, like, those guys, what they do is they go. I worked at golf courses. They go play in the mornings, and then they get in the clubhouse and they watch the golf afterwards.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the playing disc golf on the weekends, it's a valid point. Like, that's the best time for a lot of people to play.
Sure.
But it's also not a valid reason in my head, because, like you're saying, if you wanted to, there's a lot of time of the day before the round ever starts that you could go play. Because the earliest a round starts, if it's in your time zone, is like 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, that's true. There's time zone differences too. Yeah. But, like, at the end of the day, there's probably only going to be, like, especially if you really just want to catch, like, the exciting, like, end of the live coverage, that's like an hour and a half window you have to not be on a disc golf course.
Yeah.
Like, or just pull it up on your phone.
Now the convenience factor, that's one thing I expected to see, which is like I'm able to pull it up on nights and stuff like that.
Right.
That's a great positive of post-produce, but it's also one of the negative sides is because what's convenient for me isn't convenient for you. And so now we're all consuming disc golf at a different point, and there's never one moment where like
together.
Like I always go back to basketball because that's the other sport I consume the most, but like if Steph Curry hit a game winner, right?
Yeah.
The world reacts to that at once
right.
because he just hit it. If Paul Macbeth hits a, world championship winning putt, and I watch it on Monday night, and you watch it on Tuesday night, and then 95% of people watch it on Wednesday night, and then people aren't all reacting together. The moment doesn't happen at once, and so we lose that camaraderie of we're all watching disc golf together. You might have that camaraderie with your group, like if it's like, hey, me, you, and two of our buddies watch disc golf every single Monday night because that's when the Jomez final round comes out. We watch it. Yeah, there's that camaraderie. But then when you go to Twitter or something to talk about it, you're missing the social media aspect of it.
Well, and this goes on along with the point too that we're not ever going to be upset with somebody who very purposely is like, listen, I just can't watch live coverage. I watch the post produce and I make a point to stay off the internet and I consume it my way, and like that's fine. It's the people that like get on social media, see that somebody won, and then act like it's everybody else's problem that was posted on social media and spoiled their schedules of disc golf consumption. When disc golf happens live, it is going to be talked about live.
Yeah.
That's
and
the
then
problem.
The final one that I really want to talk about, the European audience, I'll briefly mention this. I mean,
it's the majority thing. You have to cater to the majority.
And that's also, it also is where the event happens.
Right.
Because when the European Open happens, if they have live coverage, then us in the U.S. deal with the problem. But like, you're a Chelsea soccer fan.
Yeah,
you consume that.
I watch Premier League soccer at like 7:30 in the morning.
There's plenty of European golf fans that deal with having to watch golf. That's just live sports.
That's just how it is.
When I literally just saw one of my friends, Justin Rozak, was in Africa for a disc golf trip, and it was like early morning, or something like that, and they were watching an NBA Finals game.
Yeah,
because that's when it was on.
Yeah,
that's just how sports are. Like it caters to the time zone that the event's happening in because it has to deal with daylight and stuff like that. So, although I understand that point, again, when we're talking about live sports, like there's no way. What are we gonna do? Have the leaders tee off at 7 in the morning?
Right. Yeah.
Because then it just doesn't work. But the one that I really want to talk about that I'd never thought of, but I think it makes a whole lot of sense, is we had post-produced first.
Are you gonna skip over the commentary? Because I think that's the most.
Well, that's commentary.
The most fascinating point to me.
The commentary, I don't want to call anyone in our comment section a liar, but there was a lot of people that were saying the commentary was the sole reason. I fully believe if Disc Golf Network had, Nate Sexton and Big Germ as their commentators, I don't think we would see a flip-flop. If Jomez had, who's the commentator? Let's say Jomez had, let's just go back. Jomez had Jamie Thomas and Nate Doss as the commentary. And the live coverage had Big Germ and Nate Sexton.
Flip-flop. It wouldn't.
I don't think it'd be a direct
flip-flop. It might
flip-flop.
change a little bit, but it's not gonna be one side straight to the other.
No.
I think this.
I don't think that's as big of a factor as people think it is.
If people are literally saying that commentary is the only reason they're not watching live, I think that's a great thing because.
Why don't you mute it?
Well, I think it's a great thing because that's the easiest fix ever. Like the Disc Golf Network is pretty good at gauging the opinions of their fans, and they are surely paying attention to what people think about the commentary. And if push comes to shove, they will get the people that they need to please everybody commentating wise. But that being said, the only reason I think, in my opinion, and people are going to hate this, but the whole Yulbari, Big Germ, and Sexton commentary, trio, or whenever they get thrown in, I think that all three of those guys are, yes, they're knowledgeable about disc golf and they're likable personalities to a lot of people, and that's why people love them. But from a pure commentary standpoint, they're not that good at commentary. The way they commentate is kind of like you'd expect them to because they were playing in that event and they're buddies with all the players. So every time somebody misses a putt, they're going to make an excuse for why they'd missed it because they're friends with that person. And it's just not quite objective commentary, and I get why people like it. It's just not really for me, and I don't know. It's just
I think it's a weird.
I think it's a little overrated.
I think a weird thing too is in post produce, because one thing people have to realize is when you're talking about commentary,
One
add-ons.
more thing about post-produced commentary. It's all stuff they already know happened.
That's what I was about to say.
So they have to fake reactions. You don't get a moment.
When you're looking at storylines, all of that, one thing that leans towards the benefit of post-produced is they already know what happened.
Yeah.
So they already know what might feel like on live, like this is a big story. Like, AB's down by 2, 6 holes in.
Right.
Well, the commentating teams knows, AB blows up on hole 11. I don't know why I'm using AB. I'm sorry, AB. He blows up on hole 11, loses by 10. So really, this isn't really a storyline. You know what I mean?
I've just never heard them, and like I don't blame them because I don't know how. Like you have to be a really good actor to act genuine when you see something you already know happens. But it's a real bummer when some sick putt goes in, or some ace happens, and you hear kind of an ingenuine reaction. Like they try to seem excited, but that you can tell in the back of your mind that they already know that happened, so it's not quite as special.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot different when you talk about some of the great like sports highlights and you hear those commentators losing their minds. It's because they just watched it happen for the first time.
Yeah, they were experiencing the same emotions you felt.
Nate Sexton, if he sees an ace on the course, he might have freaked out, but then he's going to have to replicate that in the booth because he already knows what happens.
Yeah. No, for sure. But like I said, I just have a hard time believing if the commentary roles switched that the viewership would switch.
No.
I just don't see that. Because I think that there's all these other factors I just talked about that would have to also switch. But
get to your last point, though.
The Joe Mez first. This is the biggest point to me. And not many people said it, but I think that it's so true. Because if you want to watch a basketball game, there's only the first way. Now there is some like highlights and stuff like that. Right.
But
the primary way everyone has consumed it up to this point has been live.
Mm-hmm.
The primary way anyone consumed anything. I don't know this for sure, but if for years the only way you can consume a NBA championship game was the highlight version, and then it goes to live.
I don't know about that NBA, but if you're talking about the popularity of the league though, and like how active social media is, like it's a different breed. Like they would all be watching live.
It's hard to imagine. It's hard to imagine.
Not as many though.
Because if you imagine that this is how you were brought, this is how the sport came up. It's always it's posted the next day.
Well, thing in the morning. I think this is where that whole idea stems from something that we talked about before, and I think it's that there are a lot of people in disc golf that do not follow other sports. Because with your NBA argument, if most of those NBA fans you can assume also followed like the NFL. At the end of MLB, then they're going to switch over to live easily because they're like, oh, this is what we've been getting with the other sports. Now, if all of them were all post-produced, then maybe you could look at that.
Yeah.
But I think, and this is a great thing about disc golf. Don't get me wrong. One of the great things about disc golf is it's a very inclusive sport. There's a lot of people that did not grow up playing sports or watching sports that got interested in disc golf, and that is one of its best tools because it attracts that audience. However, I think that's why this is happening because, like, as somebody who grew up watching sports and like this is where like the two sides of that argument always seem to sit. The people that grew up watching live sports and love live sports and watch football, basketball, baseball, hockey, whatever, they all want to side with live disc golf, where I feel like it's the people that really don't watch live sports, that don't really understand that, are just looking to watch disc golf in general, that are more like, well, I'm going to watch it how it's convenient.
Yeah. Well, that's what I heard some people were saying, like, when am I ever going to sit down and just watch disc golf for 3 hours on a Sunday?
Right. They don't get the concept.
Have you never watched Sunday football?
Yeah,
like 3 hours is one football game.
That's what we live for.
And we sit there and watch it. Like, I'm not a huge football fan, but there are some Sundays where I'll get home from church and I'm sitting down at 1 o'clock and I'm on my couch till 8 o'clock because there's
It's like a whole lifestyle. It's like when the Masters is on, like you just like, oh, Sunday and it's Masters Sunday. Like we're just gonna park on the couch and we're gonna like eat food and watch golf. Like
that's the like community, and then you're on social media and everyone's reacting live.
Yeah.
But I do think that's a big thing. Is like if you go back to 2012 Worlds when Joe Mez started. Yeah. If you go back, or even before then, because there's post-produced before then. If somehow disc golf always had the funding and was always live, to where live, and then post-produce is coming along now.
It'd be different.
Post-produce would be seen as like the highlights and stuff like that, which is kind of how I always view it in my head.
Yeah.
Because everyone's used to watching it live. But I think you're right. I think it's a blessing and a curse of like we were given post-produce first, because if we didn't have it, we wouldn't be able to watch many of the events that we did get to watch. But then it kind of groomed us to where now live disc golf feels like the secondary thing, whereas in every other sport, it's the other way around.
Back then, post-produce too, it was a little different because the tour didn't really exist. It was very spread out. Like there was people, you always knew there were certain events everybody was going to be at, but like oh, Paul might be at this event in North Carolina. Meanwhile, somebody might be playing in California. And like, so you'd have these different companies bring out these post-produce, and you could follow your pros across these. Nowadays, it's centralized. All the good players are playing on the same tour, so you don't need to rely on post-produce to make sure they're catching each and every player.
Yeah, because I mean, that's how like.
Because I used to love that.
Marty
about
McFly
it.
back in the day. What's the other ones? There's a bunch of like North Carolina production companies that just don't really exist anymore. But it was because back then, Barry Schultz was a lot more relevant name. You had, I mean, there's so many players. Schwebe, heck. There's so many players in North Carolina that have like big names, or maybe not big names anymore. I don't know what the disc golf scene's like as far as like recognizability of these pros, but to me they were like superstars. I held them to the same esteem that I held any touring pro because that's who I was watching week in and week out. Because I wanted to see like there was coverage constantly coming out of these local North Carolina tournaments, and like you were saying, it wasn't like players were specifically going there. The national tour would happen, but then players would disperse the next weekend to a bunch of A tiers.
Right. Yeah.
And then they would always have like Sexton's randomly at this A tier in North Carolina, and then Paul's there, and then Ricky's there,
and that could be another potential future role for post produce, because this still does happen from time to time, especially in the early season. Like this year, there was 2 events in Arizona. It was the Shelly Sharp, and there was one other that the disc golf guy did coverage of.
Yeah.
And because AB and Hammonds were out there battling each other, and I think Drew Gibson might have been at one of them. I can't remember. And there was coverage of that, and it's like that was a really good thing for post produce. And anytime there's an event that like Huck Central just happened. Disc golf guy was at that one. He's good at this.
Yeah. He literally just drove like 13 hours to cover that event.
And Paul and Dickerson were out there, and I was like, I know this is going to be live. I wouldn't expect it to be live, but I'd love to see coverage of that. Like, that's a really good role for post-produced.
Yeah. And then on the flip side of that coin, I want to kind of transition topics, but it's going to stick in the same area. The PGA Championship happened.
Yes.
Okay, this past weekend. The PGA. I didn't say PDGA.
People were calling me out because I tweeted about this, and I stirred the pot a bit. It was intentional. But I were getting a lot of comments like, oh, I'm not going to pay attention to the PGA's fake major, their Mickey Mouse major. The PGA Championship has been around for 103 years. It is not a fake major. Yes, it might be the least prestigious of the 4 because of the name. It's not the other. It's got to compete with the U.S. Open, the Open, the Masters. Like, it's kind of hard to compete with those names in that history. But it's still a really big deal, and I think that was pretty evident by the swarm of people losing their minds in person and on social media.
Well, that was also because of who won. But
also true, but it was electric.
It was. But one thing, so I don't watch a ton of golf coverage.
Yeah.
Previously, when I have watched golf coverage, I'm just watching it for the moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there. For some reason, this time, I turned it on, and I immediately was like...
It's hard to turn off.
Well, A, yes. But B, I was sitting there, and I was like, just trying to picture a disc golf tournament happening.
So loud.
Well, I was trying to just picture...
That's what I kept thinking. I was thinking like, man, if we could just get these galleries someday.
I wasn't even thinking galleries. I was just thinking coverage-wise, like the shots they were choosing, why they were choosing them, listening to the commentary. And I was just picturing if this was a disc golf tournament. And something I noticed that I think this is a big barrier that I hadn't thought of before until I watched this. Right now, live disc golf does not provide us that much more like context, storyline, development over post-produced.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's the biggest advantage, I think, of live disc golf.
Yeah.
Is the time. It's right now it's seen as the biggest disadvantage. I think that's the biggest advantage because what the PGA Championship did is coming down the stretch, all that dead space, all that in-between time was used to build the story.
Yeah.
You had...
giving you stats. They're giving you record opportunities.
Not even. They just had...
Full little
They had...
clips,
At one point, it was on hole... I believe it was like hole 16. Okay? They literally had 7 different camera angles of Phil Mickelson walking. It was on... he was walking to the green. It was either... It might have been... It was 16 or 17. He was walking to the green. They had 7 different camera angles. Commentators were barely even talking. Okay, but I was glued to the screen because he's walking down. First off, he's walking down with like a 3-stroke lead or something, and it felt far from over. Going with like 2 holes to play. That's just completely the secondary thing. But he's walking down, and there's 7 different camera angles showing you the gallery. One's literally walking with him, right behind him. It's bouncing. It's a shaky camera right behind him. You feel like you're walking behind him.
Yeah.
Then there's the helicopter view of everything. I'm sitting there.
They have the drones too. Did you see the drones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there.
And the blimp.
I'm on the edge of my seat because I'm like so enamored by this moment that's happening. And I know how important it is. And then I started thinking to myself, like, imagine how sick that would be if you had all these camera angles during live of Paul walking to hole 17 at USDGC.
Yeah.
Because right now what I feel like is we treat, okay, they're walking between holes, let's cut. Let's go to commercial. Let's go to the booth. Let's do whatever. This is a great moment. Build the story up.
Right.
Let the hot mic speak for itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cut to 3 or 4 different camera angles because we do have that many cameras of the crowd, of the moment. Like, just let it build. Because it provided a completely different experience that, like, stuff like that would elongate the Jomez coverage too much.
Yeah,
right?
Right, yeah.
But stuff like that is what it's happening. You got to wait for, Paul to tee off on 17 at USDGC. You got to wait for Ricky and them to walk to the tee. So you have all this dead space.
Oh, that walk to 17 at USDGC would be awesome.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You have to wait. So let the moment build.
Yeah.
And I thought they did a great job. And they also, the commentators, which I've heard a lot of people talk about this. This is one of the main complaints about commentary. Because in Jomez, if they let the dead air speak for itself, we're talking 5-10 seconds. Because that's all it is before a throw.
Right, yeah.
Super easy to do. And on live, it's a much different pace. Right now, I feel like live commentary is trying to keep up to the Jomez pace.
Yeah.
Which it shouldn't be happening because it's a much more relaxed feel. It should let you kind of sink into the moment a little bit. And that's what the golf coverage did extremely well, is they let the moment speak for itself. They never, when he was lining up to swing, there was a solid 5 to 10 seconds beforehand, and then they waited until the ball was almost at the apex before they said anything.
Yeah.
So you're sitting there and you can hear the crowd. First off, they obviously have a lot more money to be able to have good mics on the crowd and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But regardless, we have the technology to be able to do similar things.
Sure.
But you can hear the crowd, you can feel the moment, and it drew me in. It made me feel like I was there. Disc golf coverage on live, I don't feel like I'm there.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm sitting there and watching it. I think that's a big thing. If we could pull that emotion, and when I first said this, I forget who I was talking to, said it to someone, and someone was like, well, the issue is down the stretch, they're telling 2 stories. I was like, that's a great point, because you know me, I'm a big advocate for FPO and MPO need to have separate streams, and this is one of the biggest reasons. It's coming down the stretch. That dead space time is when they need to be showing FPO coverage right now.
Right.
So you're missing out all these story building opportunities to get you on the edge. Now, I understand the reasoning. They're trying to get more viewers onto FPO.
Yeah.
But it's like I said before, if you are forcing someone who is here for the MPO coverage to watch FPO, you're making them resent FPO more. That's not, I just don't. I think that's a short-term view of growing the FPO side, because you're just trying to pump up the numbers without actually pumping up the fans. Yeah. You might gain one or a few from there, but you're also going to make a lot of people just, and you see it in the comment section. I moderate the Pro Tour commentary on YouTube sometimes, the comments, and I mean, some of the stuff I have to delete, I'm like, how could I just am picturing someone actually saying some of these things.
Yeah,
like, are you
brutal.
kidding me?
Yeah.
But it's because you're taking someone who is here for FPO, you're sitting them, or here for MPO, and you're sitting them in front of FPO coverage. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And that also is making you miss these opportunities to build up this story. Mm-hmm. And so they're trying to build up 2 stories at once. Your storyline's going to get entangled and it's a mess. Whereas if it was 2 separate streams, MPO can build the MPO storyline as it comes down the stretch. Yeah. FPO is able to build the FPO storyline down the stretch because that's when they're just alone.
Yeah.
But, it's you're missing out on opportunities there, I think.
Yeah, definitely. No, yeah, the PGA coverage was nuts for sure.
Yeah. And then the final thing that I noticed that was a lot different is when Phil tapped out his winning putt. No camera sprinted onto the green.
Right.
No mic was shoved in his face. They let the moment build and speak for itself.
Right.
We're on disc golf. We're trying so much to be fast paced and to let stuff happen. Speaking of stuff happening, if you hear construction going on in the background, again,
segue.
We're here in the morning early trying to avoid it. But these guys, I mean, there's apartments above us. How is there not a noise ordinance or something? But regardless, what they did is Phil taps in his putt. They give him time. He takes his hat off. He shakes Koepka's hand. He talks to his caddy. He hugs his caddy. He's walking to the scoring tent. Like, players are coming out of the woodwork to hug him.
Nobody says a word to Phil other than like his friends and family until
the commentary wasn't even talking.
Right.
The moment spoke for itself.
Yeah.
He went to the scoring tent, verified his scores. Took about 5 to 10 minutes after he tapped in his last putt for him to come back. Trophy presentation, and he was interviewed.
Yeah. Another thing too, and you can say I understand. Some people were tweeting about it. Like, the PGA coverage had a few issues with the crowd getting a little out of control.
Yeah.
okay, let's scale it a little bit. Like there was like thousands of people there, and it really didn't get that. It wasn't that big of a deal. It's not like it became a real issue. So it wasn't that bad.
It was close. They did have someone reach out from the crowd and grab Phil.
There was one incident,
and there's no telling what happened to Koepka because he just disappeared.
But besides that, like when Phil tapped in the winning putt, the green stayed completely clear of fans too.
Yes.
Everybody just stood there and clapped and enjoyed watching it. Yeah, and like I feel like when somebody taps out to win a disc golf tournament, it can be so cheesy. Like the TD runs right up and like practically puts his arm around the guy and is like, "All right, introducing your new champion." Like that's cheesy. And then like you got reporters all just running in there with their mics and cameras, like let the guy live a little bit, because then what the PGA Championship does, they have a nice little award ceremony where you can announce him as the champion, hand him the trophy, and then you get your interviews after. Like there's a time and a place. Like,
yeah.
You gotta. Now I will say this too. Having a ton of fans makes it a lot easier for there to be that type of moment. If there isn't a lot of fans, then it is kind of an awkward silence.
I think it's where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like if it's some of these tournaments, there might be 400 or 500 fans. Ricky taps in. At Worlds, there's normally like 1,000.
I think we're getting past those days though. Like I think at any pro tour at this point, like there's gonna now the galleries are back. Like there's gonna be enough fans to like get pretty noisy.
Yeah, let the moment initially happen. He wins. Walk over to the side, because that's another thing too. Is like there have been moments where before you just kind of solve some of these issues, but with paper scorecards, there were moments where the guy won by one.
Yeah,
and it's like I really need to look at that scorecard and make sure that the math I was doing in my head's right.
Yeah,
like you announce him as a winner, and it's like, oh shoot, he's in a playoff.
It's also a lot. It's also
I've never seen that happen. But.
Live is another good thing about live coverage is it holds players accountable because now the whole world is watching them play disc golf live, and like if there is a scoring error, they are going to catch it immediately.
Although you can't use video evidence, so
but at least the world's going to know about it.
The world will know about it,
right? And it isn't happening. So like as it's better that way than just nobody or somebody figures out and it's on post produced, but then we've already handed out a world title or something.
Yeah. I mean, stuff like this is what I think we can learn from golf. Because as much as people want to say, don't make disc golf, I understand some of where they're coming from. I do. On the flip side of that coin, there is a lot of things that golf has figured. No matter how much you hate golf and hate whatever it is about golf that you hate, no matter how much that is, the root of our sport is golf.
Yeah.
We literally just took the sport of golf and we're like, hey, let's play it with Frisbees.
Yeah.
That's how disc golf happened. So when it comes to coverage and stuff like that, we need to look at the sport that's been doing it for hundreds of years and say, okay, what have they figured out?
Yeah.
We can also look at it and be like, what isn't working for them? What can we change about our sport? Or maybe it's just like, well, that works for them because they're golf.
Yeah.
That won't work for us because we're disc golf.
Sure. And there is stuff like that.
There is stuff like that. But if we just, what's the thing? You throw the something out with the basket.
I don't know.
Throw the baby out with the carriage. Is that it?
That doesn't.
Don't throw the. You know what I'm saying? There's a slogan.
Okay.
You don't. But basically, like just because one part is bad of golf, you don't throw the whole sport out because there might be, 10 things. It might only be 10. There's a lot more than 10.
Yeah.
Heads up. Might only be 10 that we can pull from golf, but those 10 things could radically change disc golf for the better.
Yeah.
And then we ignore the 90. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We can pick and choose. We're making our own sport here, but the roots of it are golf. So why not look at...
It's the closest example we have to like look for advice. And like it happens all the time. Even if you don't realize it, like the Pro Tour, the PDGA, probably even Jomez, like those guys are. Where do you think they got the idea for follow flight on Jomez? Okay,
ball tracer.
Yeah, Pro Tracer technology from ball golf. Like it is, it's all coming from there, whether you like it or not, because that is where there is like
everything
a reference.
Everything that you love about disc golf probably came from some derivative of golf.
There you have it.
I mean, that's just the way it is. We're playing the same sport. We're just using different tools. So there's no way. There's no way around it.
We're gonna hate that one. it's so
the truth,
true, though. I mean,
there's
like
no way around
our
it.
sport is literally golf.
Yeah. Whenever like you don't have to sit here and try to be like, no, That's awful. Never, ever bring the word golf up around here. Then what are we going to call it?
Yeah.
Frisbee basket?
Yeah.
Disc chain? Like, no, we're disc golf.
Yeah.
GOLF. Learn from it.
Wow.
All right. On to some tournaments now that we're who knows how long in. But, I mean, all that stuff, I feel like that was a good conversation because we got to get your feedback. You know, you can let us know again.
Stir them up again for some more comments.
You can let us know again what you think of some of that stuff. But, you know, I feel like that was a good little, gave us a wider point of view so we can better understand things that disc golf needs to fix. But this last weekend, we had the U.S. Women's. We talked about it a lot kind of going into it. There was a lot of controversy and stuff around it. I think Paige leading up to it, where she was talking about the PDGA, gained a lot of fans, but she obviously lost a few. That just is what happens when you talk about stuff.
Yeah, if you can make hot takes, that's how it works.
Yeah, but, you know, she did what she needed to do. She came out to this course, or this tournament,
courses.
Dominated, won by 13 strokes. 11 of those were courtesy of the final course, which is the one that Paige was most critical of for being too easy, which I just find ironic. Because Paige is like, why are you playing 3 courses? These courses aren't up to par, especially that third one. Now let me show you why. Boom, I just absolutely destroyed the field. She wins by 13. Haley King came in second. Big storyline here. Ella Hansen comes in third. It was a great win for Paige. Like I said, it was close before her third round, but again, Ella Hansen I think is a big storyline.
Paige is back.
Yeah, Paige, you know, whatever she needed to do in Hawaii to reset her mind.
She's back.
It's worked. She's back. Ella Hansen, though, I saw a post. I did not have a chance to verify this. I don't even exactly know how to verify it, so I'm just going to trust the person who came up with these stats because I think it was on the Pro Tour. So surely if they're posting it, they're not lying. They said it was, I hope.
Yeah.
They said it was the highest finish in a first major by any player ever.
In her first, I mean, that's
show up at your first major and come in third.
That's reasonable because
I don't know if that includes AM because I could see someone like popping off at AM Worlds.
Yeah,
but I imagine on the pro side,
that makes sense.
That's definitely true.
That makes sense.
But it's very impressive. I mean, it's her first ever major. She shows up and finishes in third place, beat a number of notable names, including Katrina Allen. Yeah, I think this is because I've heard many players on the FPO tour talk about every time they mention her, they talk about how far she throws. So I think that's something that'll be, obviously it seems like that's one of the bigger advantages that people see in her game when they talk about her. But I think it's going to be interesting to see kind of as she continues to develop as a disc golfer. And I'm assuming she's going to keep touring. She seems to have been on tour for a little bit. I believe she has an Ultimate background. So I'm not sure if as Ultimate picks up, if she's going to go back. I feel like once you come in third at a disc golf major.
Probably going to keep giving it a try.
Yeah, she's also been picked up by Discmania this season. I feel like she's probably going to stay around, but if she does, she's definitely a force to be reckoned with, I think.
Yeah.
You know, I think that I can't even say give her a little bit of time. She's already in third. So, I mean, if you look at some of her recent finishes, she has come a little bit lower at the beginning of the season, but I think she came in like 10th of the last Pro Tour. She's been up there on lead cards the past few, and now she comes in third at a major.
Ultimate backgrounds are very helpful, and this is not the first time we've seen that. We saw it with Holland Handley, like burst onto the scene this year with the Ultimate background, and she became a pretty.
We've also seen
quickly became a
Brody
force.
Smith whenever you mention Ultimate.
Well, right.
It's hard to imagine that without Brody's Frisbee background, he would be able to get as close as he's gotten to the top 20.
Even a lot of the older pros have Ultimate backgrounds. Yeah. I mean, it's just as a big help.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something to be said. I think it's a lot different distance throwing motion, but when you're talking touch shots and like the feel for the throw, that's something that you develop the same in both sports, I feel like.
Yeah.
To where once you kind of learn how to throw a disc and how a disc is going to react to your throw, then the Ultimate just translates perfectly in. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's something we're going to be seeing. We've already seen a lot of it because I believe who was the guy at Goat Hill? Kirkland. I forget his first name.
Kirkland?
Is it Cody?
That was your dark horse pick.
Yeah, I believe he was a professional Ultimate player for San Diego.
Okay.
And they've been, Ultimate's been shut down for a long time, so they started playing disc golf, and now he's on a pro tour. It was a silver series, but he made it to lead card.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just stuff like that where it just translates pretty easily. So it's definitely gonna be an interesting thing to keep an eye on there. I also think it's gonna be an interesting thing to see what happens with the U.S. Women's next year. If I had a vote, I think Steve Hill on Twitter said it best. Let's combine the U.S. Women's The major should happen the same weekend in as USDGC at the Throw Pink Women's Disc Golf Championship, and then we keep US Women's as like an A tier. Maybe you have to rename it or something, but you keep that like big tournament that's dedicated to women's and the growth of FPO. You keep that around so that happens. But on the major side, we put it in the hands of people who are consistently running majors, because it's kind of embarrassing to have what's supposed to be like the feature women's event and then have so many things leading up to it be constantly called out of like, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Why are we playing these courses? Why are we playing 3 courses?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like that was a little bit of a miss, but at the end of the day, the major happened. Page 1. It's in the history books. So it is what it is. All right, it's time to move on to our fan favorite segment, the one and only Mr. Trevor's Trivia.
All right.
What you got?
So I decided to go with a little bit of themed trivia. I haven't done this in a while. So we're going to do, since the Masters Cup is what we're going to be previewing what's coming up, we're going to do a little Masters Cup trivia. This is kind of an interesting event. Now, the Masters Cup, for those of you who remember, was the Steady Ed Memorial Masters Cup for the longest time until, I believe, 2017, when Innova took it over. And now it's just the Santa Cruz Masters Cup driven by Innova.
I wonder if there's like some type of beef between Innova and Steady Ed.
I think it's probably just like DGA was no longer running it, and they were like, yeah, Innova, if I had to guess, Innova may have even offered to keep it that way, and DGA was like, nah, like if we're not going to run it, like.
I don't know. I like the idea of there being beef.
There's beef. There's beef.
Well, I'm just saying, like, because.
No, there's beef.
Steady Ed invented disc golf.
Yeah, but
right?
And Innova made it better.
Well, then, like, Steady Ed obviously, like, started DGA, I believe is how it worked. There's some type of tie to Steady Ed and DGA.
He made DGA.
But then Innova, like, was right behind him and making the first disc, right? If I understand the sport correctly.
Yeah, Innova made the first, like, beveled edge, I believe.
So then, like, Innova took it to the next level.
Right.
So I'm wondering if there's, like,
DGA,
some tension between
DGA gets
Dunapace
props.
And Steady
Yeah,
Ed.
like, Steady Ed gets props for making the basket, because at the end of the day, the basket is the most important invention we've ever had. Even though they spit out
the rule of the sport.
Even though they spit out my discs all the time, like last night, it was awful.
And he founded the PDGA.
Yeah, true. But Innova did make really good beveled edge discs right out the gate, and that was very important.
Yeah, Innova's the inventor.
Maybe that was the more important invention.
Innova's the inventor of the modern disc technology, from how I understand it.
Yeah.
And then Steady Ed and / DGA.
Well, they made the Arrow and the Eagle. Those were like the first two.
Yeah, is the inventor of the sport and the rules behind it.
We need to make like a series on disc golf history, and we need to learn it first.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I know the gist of it, but I don't know the nitty gritty details. Like, was there a fist fight over who won this?
Somebody needs to write a book. Somebody needs to do a documentary on that.
We'll talk about documentaries.
Yeah, I was gonna say. All right, here's the trivia question. So since 2011, there wasn't one in 2020. It got canceled.
Yeah.
So since 2011, only one player, not named Paul or Ricky, has won the Masters Cup. Who are they? Only one.
Only one since 2011.
Paul has 5, including 4 in a row that he won, and Ricky has 2.
The tough part is, I feel like it'd be the winner of 2011.
No, I'll say that.
Okay, so then so I'm going Greg Barsby.
That was a good guess. It is not Greg Barsby.
Dang it all.
It is Garrett Gurthie.
Ooh.
He won the last one in 2019.
How did I not remember that?
He won by 6 strokes over Simon Lizotte.
Was Paul and Ricky there?
Yeah, and they were like, I think Ricky was in 3rd, but Paul was like in like 6th.
What the heck?
It was. I looked at this leaderboard and I was like, am I missing something here?
Did Masters Cup happen at a golf course once?
That would be pretty mind blowing, unless there was issues at Daylaw.
What was the tournament where Ricky hit that like sick putt from like 65 feet? I could have swore it was Masters Cup, but that wouldn't make sense because it's always been Daylaw. It doesn't matter.
I'm gonna double check it. We don't have Connor.
Oh yeah, we don't have Connor to double check us. He's still on his honeymoon. Living it up in Puerto Rico while we're here grinding it out.
So typical, man.
Are you able to like look at where it's been?
Yeah, you can see it, can't you?
I don't know. I mean, you'd have to go. It was like 2016.
Oh, you think? Okay, well, I wasn't even going back. I thought you were talking about the year that Double G won.
No.
I thought you were saying that's why
Ricky won it, I think.
I would be, unless there must have had been an issue.
You're not even gonna Google it?
It was like wildfires or something.
I don't know what. It might not have been Masters Cup. I could have swore it was. Someone in the comments, let me know if you know
Masters
what I'm talking
Cup,
about.
I'm pretty sure is always synonymous with.
It is. That's why I'm kind of confused what I'm thinking of. But it was like on a golf course, and it was coming down the stretch, and Ricky hit like this iconic raptor leg putt from like 75 feet.
Was that at La Mirada?
No, it was on a golf course. It was on a hybrid golf course. I remember. I can so vividly see it. I just don't remember.
I think you're crazy.
Nah, man, you're crazy. Can you see where this? It just says Santa Cruz. Okay, Ricky did win by 1 stroke in this one, 2016 Masters Cup. So
look it up.
That's
on
lining up.
YouTube.
So I'm gonna have to go over to YouTube now. I'm gonna have to do it.
I'm intrigued.
This is completely
now.
irrelevant to anything we're talking about, but
No, it's not. It has to do with the trivia.
2016 Masters Cup disc golf.
I don't know why it wouldn't be at De La.
Final round.
Somebody knows out there. Wait, did they play? Was there a year they played like? Oh, was there a year they played like 1 round at De La and then they switched?
This says concludes at De La in 2016. So
Or
maybe I'm just crazy.
Maybe there was a. I feel like there might have been a year that they played like 1 or 2 rounds at De La and then they played another round or 2 at a different course. I feel like that might be a thing.
No, here's the putt I'm thinking of. I can see it. Is this at De La?
Let me
De La's.
see.
This is the putt I'm thinking of, but this says at De La. Look at this putt. It's on Disc Golf Guy coverage. Like, that doesn't look like De La.
I don't. It's hole 18.
Look at that putt.
That's a bomb.
Right.
I don't remember the end of De La.
But it says concludes at De La Viega. Maybe it is. Maybe De La is just way more. No, there's golf carts. There's golf carts right there. On a golf cart. There's golf carts.
Yeah. Is there a De La?
Is there a De La golf course? Are we crazy?
Are we lying to
What is
ourselves
De
right
La
now?
Viega?
Yeah, what is De La?
What is De La? Is De La a golf course where idiots?
No, it's not. Obviously, we know what it looks like. It looks like a bunch of little
It's a desert.
wooded shots. Yeah, in the desert. There's like tumbleweeds out there.
Yeah, it's a disc golf. De La Viega.
It looks like
disc
Oak
golf
Grove.
course. But is there a golf course?
I'm pretty sure now.
That looked like a golf course.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm remembering now that they played like they split rounds.
Let me see if there's like a De La Viega golf course.
Is it an area or is it?
Yep, De La Viega golf course.
Oh my gosh.
So that makes things confusing.
So I think they split it
They
up.
split it. They went from the disc golf course to the golf course.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how I got there. I just vividly remember that putt. Ricky's in
That
all
was
blue, raptor
important-
legging the heck out of it.
Important research. The raptor leg, man. Where is
Yeah,
that?
Rick.
Where does that compete with like the
Rick.
tiger fist pump, the Jordan shrug? You know, the raptor leg.
I don't know. I think that might have been where the raptor leg was like started. Back in 2016.
That was his year, man.
2016, 17. You didn't even ask me any questions.
Yes, I did. I asked you who.
Oh, that was it?
That was the question.
Oh. Normally when you do these themed ones, you hit me with like 4 or 5 questions.
Listen. We've been ranting so long lately. I was like, I don't need a long question.
That's valid. That's valid.
I mean, we just went on a tangent about where De La was for like 3 minutes.
That's
so.
true. Well, I mean, I hope they do it at the golf course again. Nah, we've seen a lot of golf course golf.
Yeah, I'm tired of it.
Yeah. Take me back to the.
Put me in a park with no fair lines.
Put me
and
on.
low ceilings.
Put me in a desert with a bunch of roots.
Yeah,
and Mach 2s.
and giant cliffs off the fairway that people can just fall and die. Like De La is a course I don't ever want. I do want to play it because it's iconic, but I don't ever want to play it for the sense that it.
I don't ever want
looks
to play with anything
miserable.
online.
It looks miserable.
Yeah. All right. Well, really quick, I saw this on Facebook, and I'm kind of confused by it. I just want to bring it up and see what you think of it. Paige announced on the Discraft All Day. I don't know if she's announced it anywhere else. In the Discraft All Day Facebook group, she announced this new documentary in the works. It's called Fierce. The goal is to show disc golf through the eyes of Paige Pierce. Sounds cool. I like it. It looked like it was going to be really well produced.
Yes.
Thing that confused me, they're crowdfunding the project and offering some perks. Why that confuses me is the documentary hasn't happened, right? They're trying to raise $75,000 to make the documentary happen.
That's a lot.
The perks you get, $5 I don't think get you anything. Like $15 get you one of her Thunderbird bars. $50 get you like a Crystal Flex Fierce, which as of last night hadn't been sold out yet. There was 1,000 of them. I think I can pull this up again. It was on Indiegogo. That's how you say that, right? Indiegogo.
I think so.
And then I'm going to search Paige Pierce. If only Connor was still here, man. Okay, I'm going to have to go on Facebook. I don't know why, but like, so if this documentary was finished already and it was done and then they were selling it,
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, that makes perfect sense. I'd probably buy it. Heck. But like to think like this is one of the greatest players of all time in her sport. She's still in her prime. And then she's like trying to do this documentary. You would think that like her sponsors would fund it, or she'd be able to get Jomez to do it. And like they would.
I think there's just so many unknown questions before I like make any big claims like, oh, Paige is after everybody's money. Like I don't, because we don't know.
I'm not trying to say that necessarily.
I know. We don't know who's behind this project. That's like the biggest question.
That is a big question.
Because if it is some like really top of the line production company, then I'm like, okay, this makes sense. But then I don't think they'd be going about it this way. If it's just like some of her disc golf buddies, or just like some people who are like, yeah, I think we can make a documentary. We need this much. Like, then it's like, well, I'm not so sure what's going on. That's like the biggest question for me, because $75,000 is a lot of money in disc golf. But to produce a really good documentary, like if this thing were to come out and it was awesome, because like I love documentaries, I love disc golf documentaries. I think there needs to be way more of them. And I really wish like a big company. I mean, could you imagine if we had a Netflix original documentary about disc golf?
But here's the thing:
awesome.
If that was their goal, you would think they'd be saying like, one of our big goals here is we're going to try to push it to get to Netflix or something.
I think if they had a big enough company behind it, they would be talking about that company that was.
That's what I'm saying.
If it came out and it was awesome, I'd be like, yeah, $75,000, that made sense because this documentary rocks and like it's so cool and it's going to help grow the sport.
I've just read through it, and like another thing that just put me the wrong way too is so far they've raised $25,000, almost $26,000.
Wow.
400 of the 1,000 Crystal Flex Fierces have sold at $50 a piece. But it's like, what we need and what you get is the title of this section.
Yeah.
First line in bold letters, we need money. Whenever I see someone just like, hey, like,
how about you just
we
like
need money.
rephrase that to like, we need your support.
Yeah, I don't know, this whole thing just gives me a weird feeling. I don't know what it is.
I want to be like very clear that I don't feel like this is Paige's fault somehow. Like I feel like,
but the thing is, like, she's tying the documentary is called Fierce. The 1:20 video only features her. She's talking about it, and the whole time she's saying we.
I know. I need to know who the we is. Like, who's behind this?
Yeah, but I'm just sitting here and I'm like, I don't know. It just seems weird that like, why wouldn't this be like an investment opportunity for her? Because obviously the documentary, when it comes out, is gonna make money somehow.
Right.
Whether it's on YouTube and it's free to us, but it's monetized views.
Yeah.
It's pay to watch. It's pay to whatever. Whoever's doing this, if it costs $75,000 to make, they're not just gonna flush that money down the toilet.
Right.
It's gonna be somehow gonna be monetized.
I feel like
so it just feels weird that it's like, hey, we want to be able to make this for free by you paying us to make this for you, and then we're gonna take it and make money on it somehow on our own.
So they have no risk, and when you have no risk, there's not as much pressure to make a good product either. This is how you get ripped off, because this is how a documentary comes out that is really underwhelming, and you're like, we raised all that money, but it's like, well, yeah, they didn't have any risk. They weren't going to lose any money.
Yeah, well, I would assume I'd
hope with a budget like that this documentary is like, I can almost guarantee, and I think I can guarantee actually, that no disc golf production of any sort, like documentary style, has been made with a budget of $75,000. I mean, there probably hasn't been one made with a budget of $10,000. So,
but
it better be awesome.
What's also weird to me is like they're just now doing fundraising, and they say they want it to be done by the fall of this year.
Oh, that doesn't add up.
I don't know.
That doesn't add up.
The more I just read about it, yeah, I'm trying to find where it said.
They should be like filming next year.
I'm trying to read frequently asked questions, I think is where to be. No concrete distribution plan in place. When will it be finished? Current timeline is for a 2021 fall completion.
That's really soon. That doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. The whole thing just feels weird to me. I wanted to bring it up because I don't know.
People, yeah, in the comments, let's hear y'all's perspective on this.
Yeah, and maybe I'm just looking into it too much, but I just feel like if you're this established in the disc golf world and you've got major sponsors behind you, surely you could pull together support for this project and this documentary of this scale. Unless maybe it's not actually yours. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's not really Paige behind it. It's just
I don't know.
they're using Paige's like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. All of it feels like it was just kind of thrown together, and they're like, we need $75,000, and we're going to shoot it between, because what are you going to shoot between now and the fall? Because like shooting's got to be done well before editing. If it's like a feature length, which she said it would be, feature length documentary, that's going to take forever to edit.
I don't understand how you think you can make a feature length documentary with that little amount of time.
And I would assume that I'm not the only one that's a little skeptical of it, because like if this was something that was like, oh, sick, like this is gonna be huge, like if it said the word Netflix on it or something like that, where it's like big, then these 1,000 Crystal Flex Fierces would be gone. But only, I mean, this has been almost 24 hours and there's only 400 gone.
Well, and I don't even think Discraft has promoted it.
Yeah, it's
and
weird.
If Discraft was like, all right, like our star like player.
Let me go to her Instagram to see if she's even promoted it anywhere but this group.
I feel like I saw it on her Instagram, but I might be wrong.
Paige Pierce, is this? Yeah, she did promote it on her Instagram.
Yeah,
she put a minute video up. I'm gonna read these comments.
Man.
I just want to look in the comments. Is anyone
get in the tea there? See what's going on.
Discraft responded to her comment and said this is gonna be a game changer. Can't wait to watch it.
Okay. Discraft is
support the dream and growth.
Repost it though.
I mean, no one else is saying it. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I just find it weird.
Maybe we're just crazy.
Maybe.
I think we're just crazy. Maybe.
Yeah, because I mean, everyone in here is like so excited. Can't wait. Get this on Sundance. Some people are upset that she's only shipping to the U.S. But I mean, if you're paying $50 and it's free shipping, then it costs $30 to ship it. That leaves them with, they barely cover the cost of the disc. So yeah. I understand that. Can't wait. I don't know. Okay, maybe I'm just crazy.
All right. Well,
it just gave, when I saw it on Facebook and then I looked through it, I was like, this just, something isn't adding up. Something seems weird. Something seems fishy.
I agree.
I don't know. Let us know in the comments. Are we crazy?
I'm just saying.
What do you think
line,
about it?
$75,000. This documentary needs to be amazing, and
that was what I was thinking.
With their timeline, that
doesn't add up.
That just doesn't make any sense. Like if they're like, yeah, we need $75,000, and this is going to be done over a couple of seasons.
Because it's also Paige is playing from now till the fall.
Yeah.
So when is Paige going to be shooting this? I mean, I understand. Part of it's like, well, you know, we're just following one person. We only need. Because the other thing is like
$5,000.
I don't know. I mean, I hope it's great. I hope it's amazing.
Like somebody's got to pay off a debt to the mob, and this is like how they're doing it. Like that's so much money.
I hope it's great. I hope it ends up being super well produced, and I just have a weird feeling for no reason. But when I just saw it, I started reading through the details. I'm like,
it's odd.
Something about this, just the equation in my head, just doesn't all add up. I don't fully understand it.
This guy's adding equations now,
and I still feel like with her promoting on her Instagram and in the Discraft All Day group, so her biggest fans. And only 400 of this, like I feel like if it was just a release and the Crystal Flex Fierce, 1,000 of them were just dropped for $50 a piece, they'd sell out. So surely I'm not the only one thinking like this, but let us know in the comments.
Everybody just spent all their money on Ledgestone though too.
That's also true. Let us know in the comments what you think. But let's go ahead and take a look at what's coming up this weekend with the Masters Cup.
Mm-hmm.
First storyline.
We will never know what happens at the Masters Cup.
First big storyline. There's going to be no live coverage of the Masters Cup due to signal issues at Daylaw. This has been an issue for years. It's a well-known issue.
I wonder if that's why they ended up playing at a golf course one of those years. Like why they went back and forth. Well, I guess it didn't matter back then. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
It wasn't live.
I mean, they were Smashbox, but yeah. I mean, they have a lot better resources now, and they still can't do it. So
crazy.
It seemed from the press release the Pro Tour put out, it seemed like they tried literally everything they could do to either get coverage to the course or boosted or figured it out.
I just want to say this is not the Pro Tour's fault because I read their press release. They sound like they put in a heck of an effort. The press release itself was super professional. I was impressed with them, and this is the PDGA's event at the end of the day, and it's one that they're for sure really attached to because they've been running it. This is like I want to say they're getting up near 40 of these things, the Masters Cups. So I don't think none of this is going to be the Pro Tour's fault. It's just really unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I feel like the Pro Tour could have done different is this was obviously an issue because they said they started testing it in 2020. This is an issue they've known about for over a year. but I didn't hear about it until this week.
Yeah.
And so I feel like they could have at least notified the Disc Golf Network subscribers that, hey,
Yeah, that's true.
going into this next, I don't think it would have changed their numbers at all.
Yeah.
Because this is one of those things where, like, who's really paying for the Disc Golf Network for just the Masters Cup?
Yeah.
Probably no one. But it would have been nice to have, like, last month been like, hey, just a heads up, even if it was like, we're really still trying, but most likely you're not going to get coverage of this national tour. Because they'd been promised all national tours, all pro tours will be covered.
That's true.
So at least give a heads up to your subscribers. Like, hey, just a heads up, this isn't going to happen. I don't think it's a huge deal as far as, like, subscription goes. But I also think if this was known as an issue, we probably shouldn't be having an Elite Series at this point if there's no live coverage.
Yeah,
I think.
Like I said, I think it's just the PDJ. Pro Tour probably fought it or at least brought it up, and I think the PDJ is just so attached to this event. But if my prediction's correct and the national tour is on its way out the door, this could be the last Elite Series Masters Cup ever this year.
Yeah, because I think the Pro Tour,
just like we saw with the Memorial last year.
I think the Pro Tour wouldn't have a Pro Tour event because Disc Golf Network is such a big revenue for them that, like, if they can't have live coverage, they're not going to do it.
Yeah, they absolutely would not.
But yeah, I don't know. That felt weird. And the other part of this that felt a little weird is there's an A tier running simultaneously alongside the national tour for the age protected pros. It looks like it's going to be at the same course during the same days. That's holding 82 players. And I feel it's cutting the field a little bit to where there's only 77 MPO, and I believe it's close to 38 or so, maybe 40. I think it is 38 FPO. So it's cutting the field a little bit. I don't know if too many players who, like, didn't get in. It seems like the field is the top level pros still got in, so probably wasn't that big of a deal when it's all said and done. I know Eagle's not there. I would imagine that was by his choice since all the other top level pros are in. But I still just find it weird that, like, there's gonna be a Elite Series, a national tour going on with the top players in the world, but then the TD is also going to be focused on this A tier going on with MP or MP40, FP40, 50, so on and so forth.
It's weird.
I just feel like an Elite Series event should come in, shut down the course completely for practice the week leading up to it, where only the Elite Series players are on the course, and then when the tournament actually happens, again, only the Elite Series players are the ones using the course and the facilities and everything like that. That should be, like, the priority. I don't know. Regardless, we're still going to talk about this event because it is an Elite Series. Although, a heads up for those of you who enjoy the follow-up, we won't be doing a follow-up for this because the main point of the follow-up is, like, the live coverage. And with no live coverage, then it's either, like, do it a day late and then the tournament's over, or do it and we're only talking about UDisc. And so with no live coverage, I don't really think there's a point of a follow-up for this event. So, again, we won't be able to do one for this.
I would be watching live coverage because Champions League Finals on Saturday. So, it's the biggest day of my life.
For MPO, prediction-wise, I'm thinking that Paul takes it down.
Ooh.
Thinking Paul comes in, takes it down. I think he's going to be... I mean, all these players are very comfortable out there, but for some reason, I'm just feeling Paul's going to show up and be...
I mean, obviously, he's won
go.
it more than probably anybody. I didn't look super far back, but he's got a bunch of wins.
Yeah. I think Paul's going to show up and take it down. Ricky is having himself one heck of a season. I think he's going to come in second. Sneaky third place.
I'm about to pick the same person.
Drew Gibson.
No. Okay. I thought about Drew.
I don't know. Just California. I think Drew's going to pop
place
in there.
So I have Ricky winning, Paul in second.
Okay.
And my sneaky third place is AB. Because he's got back-to-back seconds.
He does.
He's playing pretty well right now. So it's not like it's just me, throwing in my man crush, just being unobjective. He's got 2 second places in a row. He's playing hot right now. And so I think he's going to get a third place.
There we go. So we got a little interesting third place action there. Drew Gibson versus AB.
Drew Gibson.
We'll see what happens.
He's an absolute wild card.
He is. But I feel like this is the type of event that he would just kind of
will the Penrose putters stick in those old mock baskets?
Mock box.
Will they stick in those baskets better? That's the real question.
The weight distribution just might help them fall in the right way.
They
built different.
They just go in. You feel it right away.
On the FPO side, I've got Paige Pierce winning. I mean, I think she's back.
It's back to Paige season. Pick Paige every event. Is that what it's come to?
Second place, I'm going with Sarah Hokum. Wait, no, she's injured. She might not be.
You dummy.
Dang it, Hunter.
You've done that like 2
I've
3
done this the
weeks
second week in a row. Okay, I'm going second place, Katrina Allen.
Oh my gosh.
Third place, we're going to just pick it on the fly since I just had a brain fart when I was doing it. I was writing these notes at like 11 o'clock last night.
My picks are Paige, Owen Scoggins sneaking in a second. Dirty pick right there. And then Kat in third.
Okay, so I'm going Paige first, Kat second, and yeah, because Sarah Holcomb's on the list. Is she making a comeback?
Do something interesting. I don't know.
Valerie Mandujano,
Well, that was interesting.
third place.
That was certainly interesting. Okay.
All right, and then who you have for your dark horse pick?
My dark horse pick, you took Shotwell, who I wanted.
Well, why don't you just tell everyone my dark horse pick before I get to reveal it?
Because I'm not mad. I'm disgruntled. I wanted Shotwell, but you always pick before me, and I guess that's my fault.
You could have picked any point between and now.
I think even if I said a name, was like, oh, did you like this morning? I was like, did you pick Shotwell? Like you could have been like, oh, Shotwell's there, and been like, yeah. That's
it's
what
written down. It's written down. I'll show you.
There's a Google Doc. You could have edited it whenever. We'll look at the stats.
This is from
later.
11 o'clock last night.
We'll look at that later. Anyways, I'm going back to Max Nichols, who DNF'd on me a couple weeks ago. Don't DNF this time, Max. There.
Okay, so what do we do if Max DNFs? Because Connor's not here to be the third dark horse
If
pick.
he DNFs 2 weeks in a row, I'll take the L if he DNFs 2 weeks in a row.
Maybe we just buy each other coffee. Just watch
No, if he DNFs 2 weeks in a row, that's my fault for picking him twice in a row, like a fool.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice.
Exactly.
Chris Shotwell is my pick, as Trevor has said.
Shotty.
I feel like he always just randomly shows up at these tournaments.
He's a legend.
Yeah, at the California tournaments, he'll just randomly pop off.
He's an in of a legend.
And so, Chris Shotwell, you might not know the name. After this weekend, you will.
He's probably
dark
got
horse pick.
like rocks in his bag there, like worth millions of dollars.
Probably. All right, it's time to wrap up the show with the Make That Call. This one, I think you'll know the answer to, but it's a pretty unfortunate situation, so I'm very curious. Ooh. So you finish out your round, okay? You are you're doing the score. It's a paper scorecard. This wouldn't happen with you disc or anything like that. So it's a paper scorecard. We're going back. You finish out your round, and you're doing the math in your head, and you know you shot a 4 under. So you write 50. It's all par threes. You write 50. You do everyone else's scores.
Okay.
As you're walking up, you're like double checking everything. You realize, oh, when I tapped in my 2 on 18, I didn't write it down, but you don't have the pencil anymore. You left it in your bag. And so you look at it, you're like, well, my score's right. I'm just turning in the TD anyways.
So you just have a blank.
So you have a blank on 18. Your overall score is right.
Oh, no.
So since your overall score is correct, what does the TD do when you turn it in with a blank 18?
Well, this is a hard one because there's a couple different things. So you could get like, I know there's a penalty for having your score wrong. And then I also know that it could be just considered a misplay of the hole. But I don't think that would fall underneath misplay. I think it would just be like the scoring error penalty. But I don't know if I can remember off the top of my head. And I don't know if the penalty changes whether it's you had your total number added wrong or if you just missed a hole completely. This is kind of a tough one. There's a few possible things that can happen here. Well, for A, you're definitely getting penalized. We'll start with that. Man.
So how many strokes are you penalized?
The most ruthless thing that could happen here that I'm thinking is what's going to happen is that Home Dog is going to get plus 4 over par for that hole. I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's what happens?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, thank goodness.
So scorecards submitted without a score marked for a hole are incorrect and therefore have 2 penalty throws added to their correct score. It's the same as if you had written down the wrong score.
I thought that was 2 strokes. Okay, I didn't know if they would just flat out be like, well, we have no document of that hole anymore, so now...
No, yeah, it's basically like...
That's interesting that they let you get away with that, because like they could just be like, well, we don't know what you had on that hole now.
Well, I'd imagine they'd call you back and ask you, because then your overall score might be incorrect too.
I'd be like, I aced it. What do you mean? Wait a second. Hold on just 1 second. What if you left your whole scorecard blank and you told him you aced every hole? How many strokes do you get added onto your 18? 2 for each hole?
No, it would be overall 2.
36
so
plus
20.
18. You shoot even par.
No, you wouldn't even get 2 strokes for each hole because it's 2 strokes to your score.
So you just get 20.
Yeah, because if you turn it in blank, you get...
All right, folks. As long as your other card mates don't hear about it, this is how you shoot a 20.
I mean, surely they would be like, immediately be like, hey,
You would get disqualified.
you're telling me this guy aced it? Yeah, that's gross misplay. So, yeah,
That's
don't do that.
Gross misplay. It's gross negligence.
All right, that's going to wrap up this show. One thing I want to start, we're going to see if we can do this. One thing I want to start next week is a mailbag segment. Maybe we'll do it once a month. Maybe we'll do it every other month.
Send us things?
Well, I think you do it a few different ways. If you want to do it digitally, you can tweet it, either Trevor or I. Just add us on Twitter. You can DM us on social media, or if you're in our Discord, which I hope you are, you can go into the Grip Lock tab on Discord and add us with a question or debate topic or something like that. Or if you want to, you can send us a letter or something in the mail to 1040 Gables Drive, Suite 102, Forest, Virginia 24551. Mail something to that address. You can also, if you're like, if you have like a weird disc you want us to do in a challenge or something like that, you can mail it there. We'll open it either on like Instagram Live or something like that once we get a bunch in. And if there's like letters and stuff that we can read on air and answer questions to, we will do that. So your best bet, if you want to be featured on the show, is to physically mail us something because, I mean, that's just way cooler. We get stuff. Or if you want a chance at it, you can tweet at us, DM us, or add us on Discord. And we'll pick... So hopefully we'll have enough to pick a new question or topic or something each and every week going forward, because I feel like that'd be like a little fun thing to either start the show or throw into the middle. It's just like an additional little segment. And plus, I just love opening stuff. It's like Christmas every time something comes in, All right. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next week.